I left bodyboarding and got a job with the KSP, the Kite Surf World Tour. So I worked for those guys.
I remember this moment.
Yeah, I went and worked in, went and hung out in Maui for 3 months and got to know the industry and did 12 months with those guys, which was really interesting.
Yeah.
And I felt like I helped them make a transition. They're in a worse position than we are in bodyboarding,
sure.
and it's $3,000 or $4,000 to buy a kite setup. So I thought that they'd have money. Man. You know, so, but, you know, it just goes to show that, you know, not all surf sports are doing fantastic. But, back to the moment, I guess what happened was I was approached by an investment group in Australia originally in about early 2010. They said, we've got $3 million that we'd like to invest into the sport.
Yeah.
After several meetings with the riders, we signed a deal and basically handed the non-profit association and the World Tour rights over to a company that they formed called IBA Proprietary Limited, which was headed up by a man who was the investment group manager, I guess.
Yeah, the lead of those
Yes,
people,
that's right. So anyway, we worked pretty well in 2011. I thought the product that we had was amazing. Look, back then, to tell you the truth, the ASP was really going down and we were really going up.
Yeah.
And if we hadn't lost that momentum and had the problem that we had in the end, I just dream about where we'd be these days, to tell you the truth, because we all lost our careers. I lost my career, you guys lost an amazing tour, and broke the hearts of bodyboarders worldwide, so I was pretty sad. But I guess in the end, I noticed that there were some things that weren't really adding up. We had a steering committee of a group of guys. It was me and Jeff and Mike and a bunch of other people that would report to the investors and tell them in what direction that we wanted the sport to go in. I called the committee together for a meeting in Zicatela in Mexico, and I'd over a year and a half I'd logged 36 different breaches of the contract.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so then I brought that to their attention. Some of the people at that meeting really astounded me by saying, just look the other way, the tour's going really good. I said, if we don't keep an eye on what's happening, then we all could lose our jobs. And in fact, that's exactly what happened. I went back to Australia, had a bit of a fallout with the guy who was managing the thing, and I left and went to the KSP. And then the rest is history. Of course, Alex took my position, and not long after that, the investors went in, did some number crunching, found out that there was some money missing, and they basically froze all the assets to the IBA. At that point, I mean, we had 11 million, nearly 12 million views on our YouTube channel. We had hundreds of thousands of subscribers. The whole thing was huge. In fact, way bigger than the ASP or the Pro Surf Tour at the time. So it was a real shame because, we were on the right track and...
Exactly. And that explains a little bit about why there's this kind of parallel existence of IBA assets online still, right? Like you can still see YouTube stuff that has IBA attached to it, and the reason why none of that's been able to be, I guess, absorbed under the APB is because it's actually still owned by another company.
Exactly. It's still owned by the investors. They actually came to me when I was working with the KSP and said, hey, we want to sell the IBA assets back to you for $100,000. I went to Mike and Alex, who were just thinking about what to do with the whole situation. We spoke about it several times. We negotiated with the group, got it down to $30,000.
Wow.
Yeah, US, and I thought it was actually worth spending 30 grand on, but we just didn't have $30,000.
No.
No, I mean, we didn't have anything. We're a non-profit organisation, and we're representing people.
What are those assets exactly, though? It's all of the old content, right?
All the old content.
Is it hard drives of content as well?
Yeah, television, the television series that we made, which is pretty awesome.
Right.
There's all the clips that were made by Seamus and the gang, Pete and all the guys from Snakes and Ladders, who did a really good job with the media at the time.
Pete Moore.
Yeah, Pete. Killed it, mate. Miss you and Paddy, that's for sure. But, so everything kind of got frozen. And I'm not exactly sure. It became a legal case. I tried to steer clear of the whole thing. I was hounded by bodyboard websites and magazines for like 2 years to try and tell this story. But I figured that it's best to
I got it though.
Yeah, he's got a big scoop on it. But it was best to leave it, unsaid at that time, because I just thought, well, I don't want to get myself legally involved, and I really don't want to make it any worse than what it really is, to tell you the truth. But it was a really sad time. We were so proud of what we created back then, and in the end of the day, the boys just said, we're going to start a new association. I went, oh my goodness, after all the work that we've just done for 10 years to get that tour to where it is. And so that was the beginning of the birth of the APB. It rose out of the ashes of the IBA with one guy on Facebook, two guys on Facebook, and here we are today. Yeah, so it's been a long road.
Yeah, and the rebound is kind of important to dwell on, as well as the downfall of something. But, I mean, What do you think were the key, like without kind of diving too deep into the legal problems, and I don't want you to, say anything that's going to like come back and bite you, but what were some of the kind of key downfalls in because, it fell apart, obviously, but was it all stuff that was basically just out of everyone's control, or, or when you reflect back on the moment, are there any things that could have been done differently that might have saved
Not
it?
really. I just wish that maybe that I'd had that meeting a little earlier, because by the time that I'd logged 36 breaches, it's a lot. I mean, they were coming pretty rapid fire. I was logging down a couple a day at one stage.
Yeah, right.
And I wasn't missing anything. I'm pretty observant when it comes to that stuff. So I spoke internally, with the boys about it before calling a meeting. And we thought that we might be able to work it out, to tell you the truth. But then when it became a financial issue and there was some money missing and all that stuff.
Numbers not adding up.
No, that's right. Then it was impossible. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, the investors put their trust into one guy and we put our trust into one guy.
Yeah.
And unfortunately that guy failed.
So what do you reckon is one of the key learnings then? Don't trust one guy.
Don't let one person control it.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the key. I mean, back then the IBA was a non-profit organisation and people really owned it. So I guess, if we ever do a deal again, and look, we're talking to people about the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's been the strategy again, right?
Yeah, the strategy is to try and, do a joint venture with somebody or to team up with a media company or... get an investment group. We've learned a lot from that first time round. We've got all the contracts and everything from the original deal, and we can now tweak those contracts to make sure that we've got more safeguards that are built into them. Yeah.
Sure.